Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of Airbrushing for Newbies. This week we're going to work on a fire series. We're going to be airbrushing a phoenix on fire, or actually in the fire, not a bird on fire. It's going to be kind of, the fire's going to mold up the bird. So we're going to start out with a deep red. I'm using Wicked colors, using a red and violet mix, 50-50. And then a little bit of reducer. I kind of go, as I go, I see how much reducer I need. I'm starting out about 10%. The reducer I kind of look at as, if it's grainy, I add a little more reducer into it. If it's not grainy and kind of watery, then I add a little more paint to kind of counteract the reducer. So we're going to start out just by getting a deep red throughout the black on the canvas. So I'm going to start out, because we have a bird in here, I'm going to start out just by kind of sketching in, kind of mapping where the feathers are going to be of the bird. And we can kind of shape the bird as we go. So it's not really rocket science at this point. But what we're going to do is kind of get a look of clouds in this red. You know, it's such a dark red. This is kind of our background red. We don't need the look of the way our fire is going to be going, but we kind of need a general area of this deep red. Now the bird has to be filled in where the bird's going to be. That all has to be completely filled in with this red, so we can start with our brighter colors to map out where the bird is. So what you're going to see is just kind of an idea of where the feathers are going to be, kind of figuring out where this is all going to go. And we'll be able to tweak it as we go. So I'm going to fill in the bird's body, kind of come down here where his legs would be. Kind of get the look of that. Now, we want the fire to start from the bottom of the canvas and kind of look like it's coming up throughout the whole thing. So down here we're going to do a big broad area of red. And this is kind of how the fire is going to start from the bottom, rising up into the phoenix. Now what we want is just kind of an area of kind of a cloud look of this deep red. Now we're going to push this back with a little bit of black, going back over it, to add a little more texture into it. But as you can see, we're just kind of throwing red all up throughout this whole canvas. Now we're not going to use any stencils at this time. This is just kind of the general, this is how we're going to create this fire aspect in here. The direction the fire is going to flow, and background color of overall. Okay, so we keep going with this deep red and we're building up a background, creating a cloud look of almost like red clouds throughout the whole entire canvas. Now what we can do is go in, like I said, we're going with a little bit of black and just kind of add a little more texture into it. But as you can see, we're building up this whole entire red look of this canvas. Okay, now with the color cup, all the red out of it, we're going to add black, not cleaning out the red. We're just going to take some Wicked black. I'm going straight out of the bottle. I recommend reducing it the night before, about 10%, 15%. But we're just going to go on the fly here. Now to mix it, you can take your finger right over the tip of the airbrush, or use a paper towel or something, and squeeze down on the needle, pushing down the air, and then just pulling back a little bit on the airbrush, and that'll get it to backfeed up into that color cup, which will cause it to bubble up inside. So now our paint's mixed up and we're ready to go. So now I'm going to come on the outside edge of the canvas and kind of work my way towards the center. bringing in some of that dark color. Now there's a little tinge of red to it, not much. But we don't want to cover up everything we did. We just want to kind of add a little more texture into it by erasing some of what we've done. Alright, we're going to continue coming in with this black, adding a little more detail into it, kind of cutting out a little more of the bird. Yes, deepening up some of the background color that we have. Now I'm going in areas a little bit darker than others, kind of allowing that color to stay there, but darken it up as we go. What we're trying to do is just create a texture of reds in the background. Now this is important due to the fact that fire we need a lot of layers. Alright, with the black still in the airbrush, now I'm going to add red to the airbrush. And this I'm going to add about 25% reducer to, just because I want it a little bit more reduced. And we're going to go in and continue mapping out the fire. Now to get the fire look, what we have to do is figure out kind of a flowing motion of it. So one of the ideas is a river kind of going up. Another idea might be to where you have something that goes up like smoke and then it gets heavy and it starts falling back down and comes back up. There's another way to kind of describe it. But we don't want to create that yet. What we want to do is just kind of understand where this is going to go, how big of an area we need to create that. So if we want a little tiny area that's going to have bright yellow in it, we need to make sure that our red comes way out past that for the glowing effect. So what we're doing right now is creating that glowing layer. So everything's going to be very big and broad at this time. We'll come up and we'll kind of create a little bit of this, the feathering, kind of get a little more detail on the bird. Now remember, this is kind of a fire effect, so we don't need to draw it as if it's feathers and a bird, you know, full-on detailed version of a bird. But we do have to have enough of it to where, you know, you look at it and go, oh, that's a bird in there. See, I bring out all the coloring in it, kind of go almost to the solid color that I have in the center of the bird, in the center of the fire also, because we need this color to be prominent throughout the whole entire version of the bird and the fire area. You don't want to put the layers over the black area. What you want to do is, from the red, we're just going to keep creating more and more area off of that. So now here we can kind of sketch in the bird's head. Now, even though a lot of this is going to disappear as we bring up our colors, at least we have kind of an idea of where we're putting this phoenix. Now you can do this with anything. You could add people's faces in it. You could do, you know, there's almost nothing you can't do in fire. So what we want is kind of a shadowing look of where the bird is going to be. No detail yet, just kind of throw it in there. Now I'm going to come down lower and work on the bottom. Now when we work on the bottom here, we're going to want to kind of throw in where his claws are going to be, because I want that to kind of stand out. Body of the bird here. And then his tail feathers down here, which we might not do much of his tail feathers. We might blend those out as we go and just kind of make it look like he's being created higher up out of the fire. But it's easy to get rid of as we go. Alright, so working down here. Now the bottom of this canvas area, I want to look like the whole entire thing, fire is just coming up and creating this bird. We're going to do a little dancing fire around this area, so we can get into how to do fire, not just how to airbrush a bird into it. But now I'm going to bring this red in here and just kind of blow in the center of it. As you can see, it's nice having an airbrush with a big nozzle on it and a large color cup to be able to go in there. A lot of the times when I do fire, I'll actually use a bottle-fed airbrush. So that way I just have the bottles and I can switch in between bottles. Especially when you're doing on automotive or something real large, it's nice to be able to work on that. Because as you can see, we blow a lot of paint on a decent sized canvas. So once again, I'm creating kind of that red plume of where the fire is going to be. Now it doesn't matter if it's kind of splotchy and, you know, colors all over the place, because we kind of want that look. You don't want it to look like it's all just one single plain layer. You want that shadowing and all the different colors to come through. Just kind of working all over the canvas and seeing where I want the red glow to be. Might bring just a little bit of red in here, just kind of allow it to transparently layer over it, over the black, kind of get some of that in there. Alright, with that stage done, we're going to end the class for this week. We have the 2 stages done. Next week we're going to come in with a little bit of a orangish color and continue the red buildup, building up the reds, oranges, yellows, and some other colors. So until next week, get it up to the stage, and we'll be with you from Airbrushing for Newbies. Check us out on Facebook, Airbrushing for Newbies. Enter your classroom projects, get the classroom going. Come visit us on iVlog TV, where we do these live. And I will see you next week.